Good evening, everyone. My name is Jonathan Crutchfield. I'm the organist and choir master at Morningside Presbyterian Church, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's performance. This is a very special event. Not only have we gone through a pandemic, we're still kind of going along, and thank you for wearing your masks tonight. Maybe one of these days we'll be able to see the other part of your faces. So that would be a wonderful thing. But tonight we are celebrating Mac Frampton's multitude of gifts, especially at the piano. And we are celebrating a new music series in honor of his late wife, Nancy Frampton. The Nancy Frampton Rising Artists series is going to begin next year, and we hope that all of you will be able to come back and be with us. On your program, you will see the three guest artists that we have lined up for our first inaugural events. April the 2nd, we have a wonderful tenor. July the 23rd, we have an organist from the UK. And October the 29th, a lady from this area, Jasmine Habersham. If you haven't heard any of the three, please come and be with us. They are all magnificent, fantastic people. As you came in, you probably signed our mailing list, but if you didn't, we would love to have your name and your email so that we can say thank you for being here tonight and to just give you some information as it comes along with our Nancy Frampton series. So as you leave, please feel free to do that. Now tonight we are asking for donations for the Nancy Frampton series, and if you can be so kind as to help tonight, we thank you very much. If not, that's no problem. If at another time you would like to donate, there are ways to do that. On your program, there is a QR code that will take you to the financial part of our system, and you can donate right now in your pews. You also may find this information on our church website under the News and Events section, and then we have a Nancy Frampton series webpage. That is a great piece of information. So whenever you want to know something about upcoming events with the Nancy Frampton series, that's a great place to go, is that our church website. The other place that you can go to find this information is a Facebook page designed for the Nancy Frampton series. So avail yourself of those two things, and you will find all the information you need. If you can't get your questions answered, give me a call. I'm happy to help. It's great to have you here. After the concert, Mac will be back in the narthex, and he would love to greet you and say thank you for being here with us. He has some CDs and some books that he is selling, and all of them are $20 each. So if you would like to buy those, we will be back there and we'll be able to help you with that. Now, you all know Mac Frampton, so I don't need to really introduce him to any of you. So would you help me welcome Mac Frampton?
Thank you all, and what a lovely audience. My goodness. I don't know what you're about to hear. I hope it will be pleasing to your ears. But before we go any further, thank you, Jonathan, for that introduction. But we need to take care of a little business before we get any further along tonight, because today is a very special day in the life of Jonathan Crutchfield. Today happens to be his birthday. So it is time for all of us to sing to Jonathan Crutchfield. Are we ready? In 1969, a fresh-faced, baby-faced 24-year-old named Mac Frampton stood backstage with the legendary icon Van Cliburn, literally holding him up because he was so terrified about what he was getting ready to do. He was going to walk out on a stage in the Van Cliburn International Piano Competition and perform in front of a jury of world-renowned pianists, people that he had known about, legends, all of his life. And he couldn't help but think, what in the world am I doing here? But Van was wonderful. He was feeding me orange slices, which of course made my hands sticky. But he had a wash basin nearby, and he got me ready, and he pretty much shoved me out on stage. And thus began my foray into the world of severe paralysis. It was horrible. I got through it somehow. So for many years, and this was 1969, what are we talking, 52 years ago? For many years I have thought, wouldn't it be fun to see if I can still play that program? I don't know if I can or not, but you're about to find out tonight. This is pretty much the program I played in the first round of the Van Cliburn International Piano Competition. I opened with 2 Scarletty Sonatas because they were by far the easiest thing I had to play, and I thought if I can make it through this, I might make it through the rest. So I'm going to start tonight with 2 Scarletty Sonatas. Scarletty wrote hundreds of sonatas. Sonata, not in the terms we think of a sonata. They're very short. They're binary, in other words, A, B. They don't have anything like the form that Mozart would have written a sonata in, or Haydn or Beethoven. But they're charming pieces, and I love Scarletty, and I hope you will enjoy these 2 short sonatas in E major and C major, Domenico Scarlatti. Before we start, hello to our folks who are live streaming tonight. It's great to have you with us. The bad part is that you're recording this and I'll have to look at it later. Whatever. Thank you. Johann Sebastian Bach and Domenico Scarlatti were both born exactly the same year, 1685. Bach died earlier than Scarlatti because he had a lot more kids to chase around, but that's okay. They both managed to put out an enormous opus of work. I'm going to be performing for you tonight Bach's Italian Concerto. This was a work he began in the 1730s, and he did it as a part of a larger work. It was the first thing he ever published, and it's a wonderful example of the concerto grosso style of music back in that day. It was an orchestral style, and Bach wanted to see if it would work on a keyboard. Now, he had a double keyboard. It was a harpsichord, of course. So he had two keyboards, and one was the orchestra, and the other one was the solo. So we had the conflict or the difference between the concerto style and the ripieno style or the solo style. And hopefully you can hear that as I perform the piece, although I don't have the luxury of two keyboards. And of course, this was written for harpsichord. All that set aside, let's see what we can make of Bach's Italian Concerto, one of his great works. am I glad that one's over. Woo! I meant to mention at the very beginning that when COVID hit, back in, what was it, early March, I guess, of 2020, I was on a cruise ship. Yeah, I had just joined a cruise ship in Santiago, Chile, and we had sailed out, had gotten up to Peru, and by the time we got to Peru 2 days later, the captain came on and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're sorry, but they have closed the ports here, so we're going back to Santiago." So back we went for a 2-day cruise, back south, and by the time we got to Santiago, they had closed those ports too. So we were stuck at sea. Fortunately, I was on a 5-star ship, an Oceania ship that was absolutely gorgeous and full of food. And there was no disease on the ship. People were running around just like nothing wrong, no masks, no social distancing, no nothing. So for 18 days, we floated around the Pacific until we finally made our way to the Panama Canal, got through there, eventually made our way to Miami, and then real life hit us all. We came off the ship, and people were all wearing masks. But when I got home, and that would have been about March the 20th, I had nothing to do until about a week ago. Nothing to do. So I thought, well, I guess I should practice. So I started practicing. Can you believe that? I actually started practicing, something I had forgotten how to do. And that is one of the main reasons you're hearing me tonight, is because I actually managed to get a little practicing done. So anyway, to continue on with the program, I had intended to leave the stage now and take a little break, but I don't need it. I think I've got a bunch of friends here, so yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool. The next thing I'm going to do for you is a sonata by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. I don't think I need to say a whole lot about Mozart. A lot of people consider him the greatest of all composers. He lived a very short life, but managed to put out an enormous amount of musical masterpieces. He wrote, I believe, was it 40-something sonatas? Does that sound right, Jonathan? Yeah, 19 symphonies, I believe, an amazing amount of work. In addition to everything else he wrote, operas and gorgeous other pieces. So this one comes from sort of the middle of his sonata writing period, and it's a wonderful sonata in the key of A minor, so I present it for you now. Mozart's Sonata in A minor, Köchel 310. Yes, Mozart knew how to compose. I was just sitting here looking at my friends, the Wingers, whose names I remember tonight. Isn't that amazing? And every Sunday I get here early when choir is rehearsing, and I usually sit down and play something. And every Sunday they're the first to come in, and they've been taunted by me every Sunday to whatever it was I was playing, I would finish up and say, "What was that?" And they always got it right. So the Wingers know what they're doing. Wouldn't you know, they're sitting on the front row. Anyway, to continue on, and I was going to leave after this break too, but I don't think I'm going to leave. I might leave in a little while, but not now. You just have to hold it, folks. I'm sorry. I'm doing it. Okay, moving on from Mozart, we're going to move into the fabulous works of Frederick Chopin. This is the one section of the program that I did not perform at the Van Cliburn competition. I just got hooked on Chopin during the pandemic and started working on the various etudes. Played about 10 of them, I guess, and chose 5 to play tonight. But what's interesting about these etudes is, first of all, you know, etudes had been written for decades prior to Chopin. Czerny had written etudes and other composers had, but nobody had ever written etudes as more than just studies for keyboard. When Chopin wrote his etudes, they were indeed studies for keyboard, trust me, they were studies. But they were also musical masterpieces, and so they became featured in programming all the time, and they became well known. Some of them even got nicknames. The first one you're going to hear was nicknamed Tristess. So he wrote over his period, and he didn't live to be 40 years old, but in his career he wrote 27 etudes in 2 full volumes and then 3 separate that were had no opus to them that came out, I guess, after his death posthumously. So you're going to hear 4 from Opus 10 and 1 from Opus 25 tonight. The second etude you're hearing tonight is the one I mentioned in my notes. It's impossible to play. I can't play it. But my wife, Nancy, was very encouraging when I was working on this, and every time I would get a little quicker with it, she would say, "Yes, it's coming along, it's coming along." And the day I lost Nancy, I was working on this etude, and I thought I had played it better than I had ever played it before. And she had just been sitting upstairs, so I went running up to see if she'd heard it. And she had just left to go upstairs and lie down, and that's when I discovered that she was no longer with us. So this is probably, most definitely, the last thing she heard me play. And I'm playing this in her memory tonight, and she is right here on the piano helping me get through it. Ladies and gentlemen, here are 5 Chopin etudes. Hope you enjoy them. Thank you, next. She got me through that second one, I'm telling you. I'm not sure I've ever played it better, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm not sure I've ever played it better. It certainly didn't sound better this morning, I know that. Anyway, let's get on to the, I was going to leave after this one too. Apparently, I don't need to go too bad. I hope y'all. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do for you before we move off into another territory is by Mr. Liszt, who is considered perhaps at least one of the great performers of the 19th century, completely virtuoso performer. If you don't have big hands, you shouldn't be tackling Franz Liszt. He wrote an enormous amount of music. He set up transcendental etudes that he wrote. Again, here's that word etude. Of course, it's a French word means study. I'm not exactly sure what he was trying to study here. It's a beautiful piece of music. It's bombastic. I think it's sometimes called the Sonata etude. It's one of the ones I performed again in the band clavier competition. And I bring it for you tonight to close out my classical section of the program. Here is Liszt's Transcendental Etude number 10 in F minor. Hold your breath. Whoopee! Yes, that one's got a lot of notes in it. Thank you all for listening to this music. You know, this is the first time I've gone on stage and played classical music in at least 2 decades. Long time. You know, this is not what I do to earn my meager living. So I'm going to do that now for you. I've got 3 selections I've picked out. The first one, called It's a Musical World, was written back in the 70s by the wonderful British performer, songwriter, producer Anthony Newley. And I happened to see it when I was over in London on the West End in a show called The Good Old Bad Old Days. The show never made it to Broadway. They folded for whatever reason. But I loved this song, and I started using it as the opening in all of my shows. And I guess for 20 years I probably played this at the opening of every show, and then I got tired of it. I stopped. So about a year ago, our younger son Will said, "Dad, why don't you ever play It's a Musical World anymore?" I thought, that's a good question. So I resurrected it, and going to do it for you tonight. Anthony Newley's It's a Musical World. I got my inspiration for the opening of this from Claude Debussy's wonderful little piece called Dr. Gradus ad Parnassum. And so throughout most of my pop things, I've used a lot of classical influence. And if you know that piece by Debussy, you might pick it up here a little bit. Here's It's a Musical World. Next, I'm going to do for you one that I've only played one time in public. Actually, no, I haven't. I've played it a lot in public, but in the wrong key. I was telling Jonathan before the program that some years ago I put together a production featuring some of the musical icons from the 70s, the Carpenters, Barry Manilow, and Billy Joel. And I wanted to do one of Billy Joel's tunes, but I couldn't find the sheet music for it, so I listened to it on a recording and transcribed it. Unfortunately, the recording was playing it in the wrong key, half a step too high. So I transcribed the entire piece in the key of D flat and learned it and performed it many times with my group. Come to find out, the piece was written in C. And so I had to completely relearn it. And last week we did a concert up in Pennsylvania, and it's the first time I've played it in the correct key. So you get the second shot at it. This is Billy Joel's Root Beer Rag. I'm sure most of you know this, but Billy Joel was a classically trained pianist as well. And so, yeah, he knew how to play the piano. My final number, before I turn it over to you folks, is one that is receiving its world premiere tonight. This is something I've been working on for several months now. It's a combination of What a Wonderful World and Alleluia. And I don't even know why I thought these would work together well, but as soon as I started noodling around with it, I thought, yeah, it works. So you can be my guinea pig audience and tell me if you think it works. I'm pretty sure it does. This is What a Wonderful World and Alleluia. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, but we're not done yet, you know. I got more to go here. Now, this is your time to ask me what you'd like to hear. But I guess that means you think that arrangement works? Yes. It's a keeper then. I'm going to start inflicting that on every audience. And if they don't like it, I'll tell them where they can go. Morningside Presbyterian. So anyway, we are going to close it out tonight by taking your requests. And Jonathan was nice enough to set me up with a pad here and a pen. And you can ask for anything you want. I'd just soon you stayed away from classical music. I've done enough of that tonight. No, I'd be happy to improvise more of it if you want me to. But whatever it is you'd like to hear, and I've got a hand right here from my friend David. Go ahead, David. Unchained Melody. Okay. We need about 20 of these, so I have something to work with. So y'all keep busy here and give me some good variety. Unchained Melody, yes, sir.
Do you know one piano that played on jazz?
Oh gosh. You better not ask me to play the jazz. I don't do jazz too good, so I'll get somebody, Jonathan, to come play that. Think about it and I'll come back to you, okay? Old Man River. Old Man River. Old Man River. All right. Got it? Yes. Carpenter Park. Carpenter Park. All right. Good. We're rolling here. Good.
Sunny side of the street.
Sunny side of the street. Okay. Yes.
Eagles, let it be.
Let it be. All right. Yes. Thank you a lot for that. I can take it. Okay.
Just a little bit of Rachmaninoff.
So Rachmaninoff, how about the 18th variation from Rhapsody on E by Bach? Some audience is into that real big. Jerry, what do you want?
Theme from Exodus.
Exodus. All right. Yes. The James, complete works of James Bond. All right. Yes. Moon River. We've come a long way from Ponciana. Thank God. Yes.
Rhapsody in Blue.
Rhapsody in Blue. Okay. Rhapsody in Blue. All right. Got it. Yes.
All silence, the sound of silence.
Sound of silence. When we fill the page up, we have to stop. Yes.
Theme song from Lawrence of Arabia.
What's the name of it?
Lawrence of Arabia?
Is there a name to the theme song?
No.
Is it Arizona?
If you can come up with the name of the song, I'll try to play it. Yes. Yes, in the back there.
Piano Man.
Piano Man. All right, we're going. Yes.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Okay. Yes.
Breed 34, Spring.
Which one?
Spring.
Did you say Grieg?
Opus 34.
Grieg Opus 34?
Spring.
Oh, yeah, that one. You can forget getting any offers to like me more on me. I'll do some Grieg for you. It might not be Opus 34. But who's going to know besides you, right? Yes.
The Old Rugged Cross.
Old Rugged Cross said, oh gosh, before we quit, I got to tell you a funny story. And actually, all right, one more. Huh?
Put on the Ritz. Put on the Ritz.
Put on the Ritz. I run out of space here, folks, so we got to call it. I'm sorry. All right, here they are. Unchained Melody, Old Man River, MacArthur Park. Sunny Side of the Street, I think. Let It Be. La Campanella. Rachmaninoff's 18th variation, theme from Exodus, the music of James Bond, Moon River, the Rhapsody in Blue, Sound of Silence, Piano Man, Oklahoma, Grieg I was asked to perform at a very serious event, was invited by a friend to play for the passing of their founder, and his favorite hymn was the Old Rugged Cross. And so none of the people knew me there, but my friend had asked me if I would play this. So heads were bowed, and I went up to the piano and I started playing, you know. And so forth. And I wasn't thinking. And suddenly I got to the middle of it, and here's what happened. And let me tell you, there is no getting out of that. I finally got back into Old Rugged Cross, thank the Lord, and came back to my seat, and Jim said, "What was that?" People were looking at me, and I said, "Well, I'd heard that old Jim was quite an outdoorsman, and I could just see him up there with the elk right now, so I just wanted to pay." Anyway. Yes, that actually happened to me, and I'll never forget that one. So anyway, here we go with this list, and this will close it out tonight. Now, don't forget, folks, we really do need your generosity. I am more than honored. I am floored. I am gratified. I am thrilled that they have decided to name the series in memory of Nancy. And all the support you can possibly give to this, I would be so grateful for. I do have some of my recordings here tonight, and I'm going to be giving a bunch of that money to the series as well. I think I have around 10 or 11 different CDs out there, plus I have some of my music. I brought a lot of my Christmas recordings tonight because I thought that might be something you'd like to have. So anyway, there's a whole bunch of different recordings out there, probably a couple of thousand of them out there if you really want to know the truth. So have a look at those, and maybe you can find something you'd like to take home as a reminder of our time together tonight. And I have thoroughly loved every minute of this. I dreaded it before, but I'm so gratified now and feel fulfilled and spiritually renewed, and I hope some of that is rubbed off on all of you. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of this, and let's make the Nancy Frampton Rising Artist Series the success it deserves to be. Thank you again. Let's close out with your selections. Here we go.